Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to tell you something so radical, so utterly transformative, that if you truly grasp it, you will never see yourself or your world the same way again. You have never lived, and you will never die. I can see the confusion in your faces. But Neville, you're thinking, I am clearly alive. I breathe, I think, I experience. How can you say I've never lived? And that is precisely the point I am going to illuminate tonight. What you call living, what you believe is your life, is not life at all. It is consciousness experiencing itself through the lens of individuality. It is the infinite imagining itself as the finite. It is God dreaming that He is you. And if you have never truly lived as a separate, independent being, then you can never truly die. For what never began cannot end. What was never born cannot perish. You are not a body that has consciousness. You are consciousness that is dreaming itself as a body. Tonight I will take you deep into the nature of consciousness itself. I will show you that the entire world you perceive, everything you call out there, exists nowhere but within you. And I will prove to you that you are not in the universe. The universe is in you. Let me begin by shattering the fundamental illusion that has imprisoned humanity since the beginning of time. The illusion that you are separate from the world you perceive. You believe you are a small being, a tiny consciousness, trapped inside a body, moving through a vast external world. You believe you were born on a certain date, that you will live for a certain number of years, and that eventually you will die and cease to exist. This belief is the root of all suffering, all fear, all sense of limitation, and it is completely, utterly, fundamentally false. The truth is this: you are not inside the world is inside you. You are not a fragment of consciousness experiencing a vast external reality. You are consciousness itself, and everything you perceive as external to you exists entirely within your own awareness. Think about this carefully. Right now, you believe you are sitting in a room, in a building, in a city, on a planet, in a universe. But let me ask you, where are you actually experiencing this room? Where is this experience happening? Stop for a moment and really consider this. You think the room is out there, separate from you? But is it? Have you ever stepped outside of your own experience to verify that the room exists independently? The answer is no. You cannot. Everything you know about this room, you know through your experience of it. The sights, the sounds, the feeling of the chair beneath you. All of this is happening in one place in your experience, in your awareness, in what we call consciousness. Let me make this simpler. When you see a tree, where does that seeing happen? You might say the tree is outside. But the actual experience of seeing the tree, the image of the tree, the greenness of its leaves, the sense of it being there, all of that is happening inside your awareness, not outside of it. You have never, not even once in your entire life, experienced anything outside of your own awareness. Every sound you've ever heard, you heard within your awareness. Every touch you felt within your awareness. Every sight, every smell, every taste, all of it happened within the field of your own experience. Think about it this way. If you are not aware of something, does it exist for you? If you cannot see it, hear it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or think about it, does it exist in your experience? No. For something to exist in your world, you must be aware of it. This means everything in your world, everything you call reality, exists within your awareness, not outside of it. The room is not separate from your experience of the room. The people are not separate from your experience of the people. The entire world you perceive exists as your experience of it, within your awareness. Now here is where it gets profound. What you call out there is actually in here. What you think is external to you is actually internal to you. Not internal to your body, but internal to your awareness, to your consciousness, to the experiencing of life itself. You are not a person inside a room. You are the awareness in which the experience of being a person in a room appears. You are not separate from your world. You are the field of awareness in which the entire world appears. This is not poetry or mysticism. This is simply observing what is actually true about your experience. You have never stepped outside of your awareness. You have never touched anything that wasn't an experience within consciousness. You have never been separate from your world, because your world exists as your awareness of it. And if this is true, if everything you experience exists within your awareness, then changing your world is not about manipulating external things. It's about changing your awareness itself. Change what you are aware of. Change how you are aware. And your entire world must change, because your world is your awareness. Let me illustrate this with an analogy that will make it clear. Think about your dreams at night. When you dream, you create entire worlds. You populate them with people. You experience events, emotions, sensations. The dream feels completely real while you are in it. Now, where does that dream take place? Not in some external location. It takes place entirely within your consciousness. The people in your dream are not separate beings. They are aspects of your own consciousness appearing as separate characters. The world of the dream is not outside of you. It is you expressing as a dream. When you wake up, you realize this immediately. You understand that the entire dream was your consciousness creating and experiencing itself. Nothing in the dream had independent existence. It was all you. Now here is the truth that will transform everything. Your waking life operates by exactly the same principle. This life you are living right now, this world you perceive as solid and external, is no different from a dream. It is consciousness, your consciousness, creating and experiencing itself. The only difference between your nighttime dreams and your waking dream is that the waking dream is more stable, more consistent, more convincing. But it is a dream nonetheless, and you are not a character in the dream. You are the dreamer. You are not John or Mary or whoever you believe yourself to be. That is a character, a role, a temporary expression. The real you is the consciousness that is dreaming this entire experience into being. And if you are the dreamer, not the dream, then you have never been born, and you can never die, because the dreamer exists before the dream, during the dream, and after the dream. The dreamer is eternal, infinite, unchanging consciousness. Now let me go deeper into the nature of consciousness itself, because this is the foundation of everything I teach. Consciousness is not something you have. Consciousness is what you are, and consciousness is all that exists. There is nothing outside of consciousness. There is nothing other than consciousness. Everything that appears to exist, everything you perceive as matter or energy or space or time, is simply consciousness appearing as these things. Science tells you that matter is solid, that the world is made of atoms and molecules and physical stuff. But quantum physics has discovered something extraordinary. When you look closely at matter, it dissolves into energy. And when you look closely at energy, it dissolves into probability waves. And when you look closely at probability waves, they collapse into existence only when they are observed by consciousness. Matter is not the foundation of reality. Consciousness is the foundation of reality. Matter is simply how consciousness appears when it takes form. You are not a physical being having a spiritual experience. You are consciousness itself, temporarily forgetting your true nature and experiencing yourself as a physical being. And here is what this means for your life. If consciousness is all that exists, and you are consciousness, then you are all that exists. Not your ego, not your personality, not the character you play in this dream, but the consciousness that you are, the awareness that is aware of all experience, that is the only reality. Everything else, every single thing you perceive as outside of you, is consciousness appearing as outside, but remaining always inside, always within the one infinite awareness that you are. Let me make this intensely practical. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every circumstance you experience exists in one place and one place only, in your consciousness. When you interact with another person, you are not actually interacting with an independent being outside of you. You are interacting with your consciousness of that person. When you see a tree, you are not seeing an external tree. You are experiencing your consciousness appearing as a tree. This is why I teach that everyone is you pushed out, because there is no out there separate from you. There is only consciousness, and you are that consciousness. And everything you experience is that consciousness taking form. Think about what this means. If the world is your consciousness externalized, then changing your world does not require you to manipulate external circumstances. It requires you to change your consciousness. Change your consciousness, and the world must change, because the world is consciousness. If you are experiencing poverty, it is because poverty exists in your consciousness. If you are experiencing illness, it is because illness exists in your consciousness. If you are experiencing loneliness, it is because loneliness exists in your consciousness. But here is the liberating truth. If these conditions exist in your consciousness, you can change them in there. And when you change them in consciousness, they must change in your experience, because consciousness is the only reality. You are not powerless before external circumstances. You are the creator of circumstances through your consciousness. You are not subject to the world. The world is subject to you because the world is you. Now let us return to the profound statement that opened this lecture. You have never lived and you will never die. What I mean is this: the consciousness that you are has never been born and can never cease to be. Consciousness is eternal. It has no beginning and no end. It exists before all time and after all time. It is the ground of all being, the source of all existence. The body you inhabit will be born and will die. The personality you express will come into being and will fade away. The character you play in this dream will have a beginning and an end. But these are not you. These are experiences within consciousness, appearances within awareness. The real you, the consciousness that is aware of the body, aware of the personality, aware of the character, that consciousness has never begun and will never end. Think about your own experience. Can you remember a time when you did not exist? Not when your body did not exist, but when you, the awareness, the consciousness, did not exist. You cannot. Because consciousness has always been. It is the eternal witness, the unchanging awareness in which all experience arises and passes away. And can you imagine a future in which you, the awareness, will cease to exist? Can you conceive of consciousness ending? You cannot. Because consciousness is eternal. It does not end. It cannot end. It is the very ground of existence itself. What you call death is simply the end of one dream and the beginning of another. It is consciousness withdrawing from one form and expressing through another. It is the dreamer waking from one dream and entering another. But the dreamer never dies. The consciousness never ceases. You, the real you, the eternal awareness, continue forever because you have existed forever. Here is another profound truth about consciousness. Time is an illusion created within consciousness. Time does not exist outside of it. There is no past, no future, only the eternal now of awareness. When you remember the past, where does that memory exist? In the present moment of consciousness. When you imagine the future, where does that imagination exist? In the present moment of consciousness. All of time, past, present, and future, exists only in the eternal now of awareness. This is why I teach that you can revise the past, because the past is not a fixed reality existing somewhere outside of consciousness. The past is a present memory, and present memories can be changed. Let me reveal to you an even deeper mystery. Not only is the world within you, not only are you eternal consciousness, but there is only one consciousness. There is only one awareness. There is only one I am. You believe you are separate from other people, that there are billions of individual consciousnesses, all experiencing their own separate realities. But this is the grandest illusion of all. There is only one consciousness experiencing itself as many. There is only one awareness appearing as billions of individual awarenesses. There is only one I am, speaking through every mouth, looking through every eye, experiencing through every body. When you look at another person, you are not looking at someone separate from you. You are looking at yourself in disguise. You are the one consciousness looking at itself through different eyes. And if there is only one consciousness and you are that consciousness, then you are not a small separate being living in a vast universe. You are the entire universe dreaming itself as a small separate being. You are not in the world is in you. You are not one among many. You are the one appearing as many. You are not a part of God. You are God pretending to be a part. Now, what does it mean to live from this understanding? How does your life change when you realize that you have never been born and will never die? That the entire world exists within you? That you are infinite consciousness temporarily dreaming itself as finite form? First, all fear dissolves. What is there to fear when you are eternal? What can threaten you when you are infinite? What can harm you when you are the consciousness in which all harm appears? Death becomes meaningless. Not because you will live forever in this body, but because the consciousness you are has never been born and cannot die. The body will perish, but you are not the body. You are the awareness in which the body appears. Second, all limitation dissolves. If the world is within you, if circumstances are your consciousness externalized, then you can change anything by changing your consciousness. There are no external barriers, no real obstacles, no genuine limitations. There is only consciousness and its infinite creative power. Third, all separation dissolves. You realize that every person you meet is yourself in disguise, that every enemy is yourself wearing a mask, that every stranger is yourself pretending not to recognize yourself. This creates a profound sense of unity, of love, of compassion for all beings, because you realize that in hurting another, you hurt yourself. In loving another, you love yourself. In seeing another as separate, you forget yourself. So how do you live from this truth? How do you maintain awareness that you are infinite consciousness, not a limited body? The practice is simple but profound. Remember, throughout your day, pause and remember. Remember that you are not this body. Remember that you are not this personality. Remember that you are the consciousness in which all experience arises. When you look at the world, remember that you are not looking at something external. You are looking at your own consciousness appearing as the world. When you encounter a challenge, remember that you are not a small being facing a big problem. You are infinite consciousness experiencing a temporary appearance of limitation. When you feel fear or anxiety, remember that you are eternal. Nothing can threaten the consciousness that you are. When you feel separate from others, remember that there is only one consciousness, and you are that consciousness experiencing itself as many. This remembering is the greatest spiritual practice. Not to achieve something you lack, but to remember what you already are. Not to become enlightened, but to recognize that you are enlightenment itself, temporarily pretending to be unenlightened. My friends, I invite you tonight to consider the possibility that everything I have said is literally, actually, completely true. Not as metaphor, not as poetry, not as philosophy, but as the direct description of reality. You have never lived because the consciousness you are was never born. You will never die because consciousness is eternal. The world is not outside of you. The world is inside you within consciousness. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. And if this is true, if you are infinite consciousness temporarily dreaming itself as finite form, then what becomes possible? Everything. Absolutely everything. Because you are not subject to the laws of the physical world. You are the consciousness that creates those laws. You are not limited by circumstances. You are the consciousness that creates circumstances. You are not powerless before the world. You are the creative power that manifests as the world. This is your true identity. This is what you actually are. Not the small, separate, limited being you believe yourself to be, but infinite, eternal, all-powerful consciousness itself. And when you truly know this, when you live from this understanding, when you remember this truth in every moment, then you become what you have always been, the conscious creator of your reality, the dreamer of your dream, the infinite expressing as the finite. You have never lived in the sense you thought, and you will never die, because you are consciousness itself, eternal and infinite, dreaming the dream of separation and one day awakening to your true nature. The world is not outside. The world is inside. You are not in consciousness. Consciousness is all there is, appearing as you, appearing as me, appearing as everything. This is the deepest truth I can share with you. Meditate upon it, contemplate it, test it in your experience, and gradually you will awaken from the dream of separation into the reality of unity, from the illusion of limitation into the truth of infinite creative power. You are consciousness. You have always been consciousness. You will always be consciousness. And consciousness is all that has ever been, and all that will ever be. Thank you. And good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I'll see you in the next video.